bollocks.
Alright guys, welcome to another episode of early arcade games, and more specifically conversions on the C64. Now a lot of these conversions, they weren't always official. I mean, it was probably later on that you really got official conversions, but back in the day, back in the early days, you know, you could release your own Pac-Man and nobody would give a shit. Basically, you wouldn't get sued. Nowadays you couldn't do that, you would be closed down within a second. So anyway, to kick things off, this is Mad Planets. Now excuse my poor gaming skills here. It does actually utilise a spinner to rotate the ship, and then a joystick to actually move. Now I was trying to use keys, so that's why I kept dying all the time. Never ever played this game in arcades. Now basically, the more you shoot the planets, they start to glow. Then eventually they get a bit crazier. They start to move even quicker, and I think they even start to kind of home in on you. So you've got to keep moving. So you really need decent controls. Right, the only I couldn't find an official conversion of it on the C64, but this is Crazy Comets, released by Martech. And the most memorable thing about this game is the absolute kick-ass Rob Hubbard tune, which sadly you don't get to hear when you're actually firing. Now, I did actually check the instructions of this game. I could not, excuse me, I couldn't figure out how to actually rotate the ship, but looking at the instructions, it would appear that in this version you can only shoot straight up, which kinda isn't really what the arcade game's all about. Like I said, the arcade one you're able to spin sort of 360 degrees, but this one you only appear to be able to shoot straight up, so it kinda changes the whole tactics of this game. Now, interestingly, if you notice the title of this video, I'm looking at the letter L up to the N, I think it is. Now, I couldn't actually find any classic sort of well-known arcade game that began with L, so that's why there's none featured. I mean, this, if you've watched any of these episodes before, I don't look at anything that was maybe made sort of late 80s, 90s, you know. I leave all that from Arcade Perfect, my R series. This is real early games, so that's why you'll not get sort of more modern stuff. I'm saying modern stuff that came out 30 years ago, but you know what I mean. It's the real classic games that I'm looking at here, and it is just on the C64 because that was the system that I owned back in the day, and that's the one that I remember playing all these games on. But this is actually a really nice conversion. I say it's just a shame they couldn't have, I don't know, they could have used two keys left and right to kind of spin the thing while you're actually moving about. But I did check the instructions and I couldn't find, there was no mention of rotating. I did try pressing keys. You can see there one of the planets is starting to heat up. The more you blast it, boom. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's one thing that has got over the arcade one is obviously it's got the excellent soundtrack. But that is Crazy Comets. Right, this next one needs no introduction. Marble Madness, released by Atari. This is a really pretty game, it really is. And this game utilised the trackball to move. Even now, it's a simple looking game, but it just looks gorgeous. And the music's really nice as well. You try and avoid the black ball, he'll try and knock you off. Never ever had the chance to play this in arcades. It's a really pretty game. It's so iconic. The idea of the game is basically to try and get to the end of the level. But later levels you've got these wee kind of tubes, you've got the hoovers, and you've got fans which blow you, and hoovers which soak you. Sound effects are awesome as well, really nice. Try and not fall down the hole. Hey, there we go. So that is the arcade one. Right, this is the C64 version of Marble Madness. I've got to say, it looks really, really nice. Never ever actually played this. Never played the C64 one. It does play quite a bit kind of slower than the arcade one. And the one thing that I don't like about it slightly is the scrolling's slightly slow to keep up. Ah, bollocks. Oh, he's dead now, so that's fine. Yeah, it waits to almost get to the bottom of the screen before it starts scrolling, which is a wee bit off-putting. But graphically wise, this is excellent. I've just been eating with one of the wee tube caterpillar type things, whatever it is. Whoa. Obviously using a joystick here, which doesn't offer the same precise movement that you'd get with a mouse or a trackball. Your time's running out, but 14 seconds to get to the end. Don't fall down the hole. Don't fall down the hole. Ah. But graphically this is absolutely top notch. Ah, balls. 2 seconds, it's going to be time up. Yeah, there we go. Right, now this is this was an unofficial clone of Marble Madness. This is called Gyroscope. This was released by Melbourne House. It came out on all the 8-bit machines. I'd probably say that it's interesting graphically wise. The landscape, this actually looks a bit nicer. But instead of a ball, to basically avoid getting sued, rather than controlling a ball, you control this gyroscope thing, which I always thought was a bit rubbish looking, kind of one colour. But there again, they're also trying to, you know, avoid getting sued for copyright. Considering this is almost identical to avoid the big jobby. I think that's a jobby, is it? Well, it's disappeared now. Now these little things pull you. Yep. You see these little arrows pointing to the left. I'm guessing they try and kind of drag the thing to the edge. I'm surprised that Melbourne House got away with releasing this game. I mean, it is for all intents and purposes Marble Madness. But that's quite nice. It loses it slightly for me with the not having the wee ball thing, but it's a very nice game. Right, next one, this is Super Mario Brothers. This was released in arcades. I think this was the only Nintendo game that got I was going to say the only Mario Brothers game to get a release. I mean, obviously you had Donkey Kong as well, but the idea of this is you control Luigi. You can have 2 players. You control Luigi and Mario, and you've got to jump up underneath the baddies, flip them over, and then you run and kill them when they're upside down. I don't know if you actually kill them as such, but they certainly disappear. The animation for the graphics, or the animation for these, are just fantastic. Really cute looking. Maybe coup it upside down. Now the big POW thing at the bottom, if you hit that, everything in the screen flips up. But you've got to be careful, because if something's already on its back and you hit that thing, then it flips them back up and you get even quicker. Like that, the wee red guy, he's now running a lot quicker, so I need to be quick. Right, on to the bonus level. You can see here, looking at the graphics, just with inspiration for like Super Mario, you know, Super Mario Brothers and all these. It's very, very typical Nintendo. And I've got 8 seconds to try and get them all, which I'm not going to do because I'm doing absolutely hopeless. Right, okay, that is the arcade one. Now this is the version I used to play back in the day. This is released by Atari. Atari seemed to have the license to print the license to release Nintendo games. I mean, they released official Donkey Kong for the C64, and obviously this as well. You can see there the graphics are fantastic. It loses a wee bit of the colour. I mean, the colour's not quite as vibrant looking as the arcade one, but it's still really nice. This is great fun playing the 2 players as well, because what's quite interesting, if you're standing on the platform above the other guy and he jumps up underneath, it will actually kind of knock you up in the air. It's quite good fun. Oops, a daisy, I just flipped him back on again. So it's one of these games, it's very, damn it, it's very easy to lose control. You've really got to try and stay on top of the baddies, flipping them and killing them, because after a wee while, after certain, don't know how long it is, 10 seconds or so, they eventually do right themselves, but they get even quicker. Now it's starting to get pretty busy here, so I'm really going to have to do something here. Let's hit the POW. So now you can see they're all turned upside down, so I need to be quick and try and mop them up as quick as possible, because if I don't, they will become even quicker. Oops, there we go, they're now blue, so they're moving even quicker. That's the best technique, is to hit them just at the edge, because when you flip them up they then fall down below. See, I did that wrong. I've now got to jump up and get that thing. Oh dear, I've just flipped him back again. But this is a great version, this is really nice. This is me and my mate used to play this a lot. Yeah, avoid that thing, whatever it is. Right, it should be the bonus screen. Yep, there we go. This is always at the point where Nintendo did release games for other systems. And for the next 20 odd years you just couldn't get a Nintendo game unless it was on a Nintendo machine. In fact, what am I talking about? You still can't get any Nintendo game on a non-Nintendo. I'm thinking of Sega. You know, Sega were the very same. You couldn't get any Sega game was exclusively released on a Sega console, but now that's different. You get Sonic and whatnot on every kind of machine. Right, this is other version. This is released a couple of years later, and this was by Ocean. Never played this one. You see the controls are a wee bit fiddly. The inertia of how many runs is a bit off-putting. As you can see, I'm completely struggling to try and get any of them flipped over. I don't think even the graphics are as nice, or the colour. It's quite a dull looking game, this one. He's getting quicker. He's looking a bit pissed off. I mean, it's still a decent version. It's still pretty authentic. I just don't like it as much as the Atari one, which was the older version that came out before. So that is Super Mario Brothers. Right, Millipede, which was, I believe, the kind of unofficial sequel to Centipede, released by Atari in 1982. Very, very similar to Centipede. Just got a few more baddies, and I don't know if it's a harder game. I personally don't think it looks as nice as the original Centipede. There's something about the original, it's just very clean looking, crisp looking, very iconic. But obviously Atari thought it merited a sequel, and this is it. Again, this uses a trackball for movement. Can I shoot that wee flower? It appears I can't. Now DDT, I think when you hit that it explodes and kind of kills anything in the vicinity. spider. Same sound effect as centipede. There's a wee flea running along the bottom, I think, or a ladybird, I'm not too sure. Mr. Spider's getting a bit quicker. Oh, bloody hell. Right, that's the arcade one. Now, this was the only millipede clone I could find. This is called Millibug, released by DKtronics. Now, it looks like you're actually controlling a pair of balls and a cock at the bottom. Or is that just my imagination? I don't know. This looks like it's programmed in BASIC. I mean, it may not be, you know, it's just very basic looking. I don't quite know whether this is a clone of... Well, there's a caterpillar with a top hat on. The Slash caterpillar. And what's interesting is the spider is... Ah, damn it, the spider was multicoloured, a multicoloured sprite, and yet everything else is all single coloured. I don't know whether this is supposed to be a clone of Centipede or a clone of Millipede, but because it's called Millibug, I'm assuming the latter. Sound is virtually non-existent. Oh, there's another multicoloured sprite. It's a snail, I think. If I didn't know better, I would say this was written in BASIC. Whereas some games back in the day, they were, you know, they would be written in BASIC, but they would have a wee bit of machine code, which was always like any advertising feature. It was a selling point. Quite funny, back in the day they would advertise a game as being 100% machine code, because back then there was a lot of games were released in BASIC, and BASIC ain't the best language for the C64. It's just incredibly sluggish and slow. Slug. No pun intended with a game like this. So that's Millibug, which I'm guessing is a clone of Millipede. Missile Command. Great game this. Savagely difficult, right enough. Unless you're Mr. Tony Temple, though, there again, even if you are Tony Temple, it's still a difficult game, but he's just very, very good at it. You've got your 3 bases, left, right and in the middle, and that's where you have your missiles, and you're trying to protect 6 cities which are dotted along the bottom. Now you can see here I've actually only got 1 city left, which is to the left hand side. Now the arcade had 3 buttons, left, right and centre, so you could pick what base launched what missile. Obviously you want to use any missile that comes in on the right, you're going to want to use your right base, and left and vice versa. This is a game, it gets difficult very, very quickly. Later levels you start getting little kind of heat-seeking missiles as well, which you've got to hit spot on. So that's the arcade Missile Command, and the iconic game over, or the end I think it is. Yep, quite simply the end. Right, now this is the only Missile Command I could actually find. This is by Interceptor Software, who made some bloody god-awful games. They were certainly one of the earliest companies to make software, and indeed it was Interceptor Software that got my hard-earned cash. The very first 2 games that I ever owned were by Interceptor: Crazy Kong and Frogger 64. Now this slight variant on the from the arcade one, you only actually have 1 base which is centred in the middle. Now I think this is basic because you can see here there is a delay in between levels. I deliberately left this bit in because that lets you see how bloody, you know, god awful this game is. Saying that, actually for a basic game, which I think it is, it actually plays not too bad. You'll notice one thing: when you fire a missile, everything else freezes. Shoot! yeah, it's obviously it can't draw. It can't draw the missile getting fired and everything else. You wait, and the level it wasn't even loading. It's just taking a while to actually build, which is why I think this is possibly basic. I could be wrong. I don't know, but. Now, the tactics of this game is to try and deploy a missile. You'll see when you send a missile over, it explodes in quite a large kind of circle. And what you can actually do is you can sort of place that ahead of maybe more than one missile that's coming towards you, and you can actually take out more than one at once. That's how the good players play it anyway. So yeah, I think it looks like the C64 had a complete dearth of any decent missile command games. It could well be that it was called something completely different, I'm not too sure. But anyway, that was Missile Command, and this is Mooncrester. This is a savagely difficult game by Nitched Boots, who I think it is. I don't like this game, I really don't like it. It looks pretty, I should enjoy it because it's a classic game, it's just so bloody difficult. It's sometimes impossible to actually try and hit anything. I mean, this is the second go I had of this game, and I played it to begin with. I died within about 30 seconds, I lost all my lives within about 30 seconds, so I thought I better have another go. Kaboom! Very distinct music. What's interesting about this game as well is that actually, you start off with the little top ship, which only has one bullet. You can only fire one bullet at any one time. If you get through certain levels, it then gives you an opportunity to dock, and you join on to the second one. And then if you get through that, you can then dock with the third one. So in essence, you can end up with about 5 bullets all on the screen at once. But I've never managed it. It's just too difficult. Did play this, where did I play it? I played it in a golf club of all places back in the day. Boom! Aye, that's Arcade one, that's Mooncrester, the arcade. Let's take a wee look at the what was an official port. So it's got the wee intro bit, which is quite authentic. Graphically, it's not bad at all. It looks pretty much like the arcade one. And I'm sure, if I remember rightly, this version is just as savagely difficult. It's just difficult to actually try and hit the baddies sometimes. I don't know whether it's got a really, really small kind of hit spot on it. Don't know. Yeah, you might have noticed there that the baddies do circle, they go off the screen below you, then they come up underneath you and kill you, so it's pretty difficult. Might have a slight better chance with having the 2 bullets on screen now, possibly. Whoa! That's impossible. You really can't afford to let them disappear off the screen. If I remember rightly, I mean, is this a good game? I'm not too sure, it's just too difficult. But as far as ports go, it's actually a really, really good port of an arcade game. I think if anything, this is probably more difficult than the arcade one, which is saying something. So that's Mooncrester. Right, Moon Patrol. This is a very, very early game, and I do remember seeing a lot of conversions this on home computers. When I say seen them, I used to see advertised back then. There was no such thing as having to really give anybody royalties. You just basically ripped the name off and the graphics and away you went. Not a big fan of this game. It's quite simplistic. You move left and right You jump and you can also fire. Now when you fire, it fires up the way and also, you know, horizontally. And you need to try and avoid the bullets from the little UFOs above you. What you'll notice as well is they drop them. If one of your bullets hit the ground, it creates a big crater, which you've got to try and jump over. Right, now this is the one that I did play back in the day. This is by Analog Software, but it's called Moon Buggy, obviously to circumnavigate any legal action from whoever it is that made the original game. Now, interestingly, I notice you can't seem to move left or right. You can only jump up and down, which makes it a bit of a sod to play. Yeah. Because what you do in the arcade, when you want to jump over, you jump and then you can move the joystick to the right to try and get over the hole, but this one you don't seem to be able to move at all. So that's, yeah, that wasn't the greatest. That was Moon Buggy, and that was by Analog Software. Now here's Moon Patrol, again by Atari, so this is an official conversion. It's got big squared wheels. And it looks like the background graphics were drawn by a 4-year-old child in nursery with a big set of thick crayons. But as we know, it's not about the graphics, it's all about the playability. And this game possibly may have it in bucket loads. Right, I've just reached Sector A. Shoot the ball thing above you. At least this one you can actually move left and right, which makes it slightly easier to play. And it's even got music as well. I mean, what's not to like? Yeah, as far as conversions go, this is quite authentic. That was by Atari, and that was Moon Patrol. Right, Mr. Do. This is a favourite of a lot of people. Not a game I've played, very much of. But it's a very, very cute, really, really nice wee game. It's kind of a bit like Dig Dug. I mean, you've got to go through, and I'm saying go through the earth. I don't know what that is you're actually doing. You've got to navigate through the sort of the soil and collect cherries whilst avoiding the kind of baddies. But you've got this bouncy ball thing. You can see it there, a wee white ball. And if you turn around, you can actually fire that, and it bounces about, and it'll kill any baddies that are following you. But what you can also do is, I've just done there, you can actually, if you walk underneath a piece of fruit, is that an apple I think it is, it'll fall onto any unsuspecting bad guys below. Get the cake. Oh, damn it. I'm not quite sure what the wee cake thing actually does. But graphics are really nice. What I like about it is level 2. I didn't actually notice that with the first one. Each level actually has a number spelled out. It's a game I should really play more of. It's actually a really, really good fun game. It's probably more fun than Dig Dug, I think, because you can kind of shoot as well. I think the graphics are a bit nicer. Right, now this is Mr. Dig by Microdeal, released in 1984. It even tells you at the bottom, Mr. Dig from Microdeal, copyright 1984. How can you copyright a game that you've bloody nicked from somebody else? There again, they have changed the graphics. Rather than a clown, you play a guy with a suit and a spade, I think it is. But it's even using the same music as well, the can. Oh, is that the end of the level? There we go, up to level 1 now. That was level 0 apparently. Can I say though, for a complete rip-off, it actually plays really nice. But this is what happened back then, you know, a company would release a game and it was just a free-for-all. You could just bring out your own version, you didn't even have to change the name. I mean, some companies at least had the decency to change the name of it, but some of them didn't. They obviously thought that if they changed the name it would avoid any copyright action. That's Mr. Dig. Right, this was an official port. This is Mr. Do, and this was released by Datasoft. Now, I did play this back in the day, and if I remember rightly, this is an absolute cracking little version. Yep, this is the one I remember. Fantastic little conversion. This must be one of the earliest conversions, I think, official conversions that was released in the C64, because I mean, I don't know when this came out, but it was early doors. It was one of the first games I actually owned. Don't know if this ever actually got an official release. I'm saying it owned. I think I was given a copy of it by a mate. I think this may have just been released in the US. I don't know if it was ever released by US Gold. The only thing that's different with this one is you can see that the screen is horizontal rather than vertical. That's obviously because the C64 screen layout was completely different. But this is an excellent, it's got the look, it's got the sound, plays really well. So yeah, if you were a fan of Mr. Do and you got this for your C64, you'd be a very, very happy chap indeed. When you fire the wee ball thing, it does take a few seconds to sort of mend itself. You see it's disappeared and it will reappear. Oh, there we go, it's back again. That's Mr. Do. It's excellent. Bum bum. Right, as if one Mr. Do wasn't enough, they brought out Mr. Do's Castle, featuring the same little cheeky chap. Is that a clown? I think you play a part of a clown. Now the idea of this game is to kill all the little unicorns. Now you can do this one of several ways. I think the most easiest way, or I'm saying easy, is to... Alright, okay, I was going to say you can hit them over the head or something. That doesn't actually kill them. The only way to actually kill the guys is to knock a tile or a brick from the floor above like so, which kills them. If you do what I've done and they fall into a hole and you hit them over the head, all that happens is you just piss them off even more and they get quicker and quicker and quicker. And I think to get to the next level, what you need to do is get all the keys. So I've just picked up a key there. I think picking up the cherries just gives you extra points. Where you've got the skulls, if you knock both skulls out, all the sort of tiles in that floor fall below. So what I want to try and do is go up and get that key. Nah, damn it. Yeah, the wee unicorn things do get quicker and quicker and quicker. That's the arcade one. That's an excellent wee game. Mr. Do's Castle. Now again, this was an official release, and I played this a lot on my C64. This is an absolute fantastic conversion. This plays so well, it really is. It's such a playable wee game. Oh, quick, hit that and then get the other one. Hey, I want to go. Now the more times the thing that's chasing you, if you hit him overhead and he falls below, he gets quicker and quicker and quicker. He changes colour and he gets faster and faster and faster, so it's not always a good idea to just keep kind of annoying him. You're better off trying to kind of kill them. Oh, he's turned blue. He's get. Oh, has he just replicated as well? I think he has. He's multiplied. Kill him. There we go. One to go. Right there. I've got the last key, so get up to the top and get to the. Ah, right. Once you get to that, the baddie changes into a wee letter, and I think you must just pick that up to advance on the next level. Yay! That's Mr. Do's castle. That's a really good conversion. Right, and the third game in the series, this is Mr. Do's Wild Ride. The idea of this game is you've got to try and get to the top of the roller coaster whilst avoiding getting hit with the little roller coaster itself, which zooms about. Oh, that was close. Really nice wee graphics though. You've got to obviously watch you don't. Ah, bollocks! Spoke too soon. You've got to watch you don't put your head above the parapet and get hit from the car going across the top, like I just did there. Time it quick. Oops, right, get down. Right, that's it. Yay! Okay, that's Mr. Do's Wild Ride, and that's the arcade one. Let's take a wee look at the only conversion I could find, which is this Kong Strikes Back by Ocean. And first up, it's got a kick-ass tune. I love the tune for this. It's got some really nice, weird, sound effects. I think it's a Martin Galway tune. Now, what's interesting about this is they've completely and utterly ripped the game off, but they've actually they've sold it as being a Nintendo game. You know, it's supposedly, yeah, there's Donkey Kong at the top. You can see him, a wee mini Donkey Kong with a rather ugly looking Daisy, and I'm guessing you're playing the part of Mario. Now, it'd be interesting to know whether Ocean actually purchased a license to make this game. I would have thought that if they had, they would have released it as Mr. Do's Wild Ride rather than calling it Kong Strikes Back. I mean, they've changed the graphics, but it's the same game. Absolutely the same game. I love the wee tune though. So what I need to do is wait for these cars to pass and try and hot foot it up to the top to rescue the bird. There we go. Yep, that's Kong Strikes Back. And that was released by Ocean. Right, Ms. Pac-Man. Sequel to Pac-Man. I've always found Miss Pac-Man slightly easier game, and I say slightly easier, I mean it literally very slightly easier. I mean, Pac-Man's a fiendishly difficult game, and this is too, but I always find this, it seems to play at a slightly more sedate pace. Now, Pac-Man was probably one of the most copied games ever. There was Punk-Man, Pick-Man, Puck-Man, whatever, Pac-Geezer probably. You know, I'd reckon it's probably the most copied video game ever. Now, there was probably other unofficial clones released for the C64 with different names, but the only one I could find was actually the official release, which was released by Atari. And talk of the devil, here we go, Ms. Pac-Man. Now this looks the part, sounds the part, almost like it's got a slightly different aspect ratio. Again, because the C64 screen is completely different from the arcade one. This one plays slightly slower than arcade, I think, which probably isn't a bad thing. It probably helps to make it a wee bit more playable. Never a fan of the Pac-Man games. I mean, my mate John Studley, he's had the perfect Pac-Man game. I mean, he can play it for like 4 hours at a time. I've just never really seen the appeal of the game. Although I dare say, if I got even half proficient at it, I'd probably enjoy it. But I think Pac-Man's probably regarded as the game for, you know, high scores. The thing about this game, I used to just eat the power pills and eat as many dots as I could as quickly as possible. The whole point in this game is to get a high score. And that's to try and maximise the number of ghosts you kill when you get a power pill. So that's Miss Pac-Man, that was by Atari. Right, this is Nemesis. This is released by Konami. Beautiful game this. There's various incarnations of this game. I mean, I think this is known as Gradius in Japan, I think it is. I'm not quite sure why they felt the need to change the name. Gradius, Nemesis, call it what you want. Love this game, love this game to bits. I mean, I'm not a big fan of horizontal scrolling games, but this game, I love it. It's just such a good game. But it's very easy, like I've just demonstrated, to actually lose control. If you pick up too many speed ups too quickly, you can end up, the ship becomes completely uncontrollable. First thing you want to do with this game is pick up 2 speed ups. Don't pick up any more because it just becomes uncontrollable. Then the next thing you want to do is get an option, which is that little orange orb, which kind of follows you. It basically means you've got kind of, you know, 2 things shooting at you, shooting, so it's doubles your firepower. Whoa, it gets pretty frantic. So that's the arcade one. Let's take a wee look at the C64 one. Now this was an official, I think this was released by Konami, and this is Nemesis. If anything, it seems to play that a wee bit quicker than the arcade one, which makes it quite difficult to try and shoot all these things before they disappear off screen. Now the only one thing I don't like about this particular version is you've got to press the shift button to level up. I was trying space bars, trying fire button. You think they could have come up with some. I mean, why pick shift? Why not space? In fact, why not any key, or even make it a space bar? That's going to be easier to press than bloody picking the shift button. But this is actually a really, really good port. Yeah, the graphics are a bit chunky looking, a bit of flickering going on, but it actually plays and feels very, very much like the arcade game. A wee bit blocky looking there, but I did buy this back in the day and play it quite a lot. Absolutely failing miserably here trying to shoot all these bad guys, because you need to get them, you really need to try and level up quite early on in the level to stand any chance of progressing. It's got some nice kind of backgrounds as well. Later levels, I think you've got things like is it Easter Island heads, the big kind of stone heads type thing as well. So anyway, that is Nemesis, and that's pretty good. Right, the very last game, guys, is Nibbler. Now, if you're like me, you've probably never even heard of this game. The only reason I'm aware of it is because it's a game that's regularly broken in Twin Galaxies. You know, they go for the high score. In America, they still have got all these guys who are actively playing the classic games, and this is regarded as a classic. It's a game that you've been playing, probably one of the first arcade games that most people played in the house, because, well, that's not true, but it was a game that was released by Nokia on their 3310 mobile phone. Snake, as you would probably call it. The idea being is you go around the maze eating whatever it is you're eating, and you've got to avoid the more you eat, the longer your snake grows. What you've got to do is avoid running into your own body like I've just done. It's quite a simple game, but it obviously gets very difficult very, very quickly. I'm sure the world record for this game was actually broken fairly recently. I think it was one of these marathon games where somebody played it for like 60 hours non-stop. Yep, that's the arcade one. Let's take a wee look at the C64 one. This is called Nibbler, released by Roland Allborn in 1984. Graphically wise, it's not too bad. Looks quite well presented. Controls rather nicely. I'm sure there was probably a million different kind of versions of this game, but this appeared to be the only one with the same name. It's probably Snake, Mega Snake, whatever you want to call it. I don't know with this one, have you got to eat the dots or have you just got to eat the apple? I'm not too sure. Ah, right, okay, you just need to eat the apples and you move on to the next level. But yeah, that's not too bad. So anyway, listen guys, that is it. That's another, whatever you want to call it, a look at some more classic conversions on the C64. Hope you enjoyed watching it. As usual guys, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and finally, thank you very, very much for watching.